Hi, it's Ashley.
Hi, it's Beth.
Hi, it's Callie, and we are Shelf Care.
Okay.
Second podcast. How do y'all feel?
Good.
This is fun.
Yeah.
So what are we talking about today?
We're doing a little review of some popular authors, the first book they wrote, and then our favorite book. Or the first book, not the first book they wrote. The first book we read by that author, and then our favorite book by that author. So, let's start off strong with some Colleen Hoover, because I feel like she's kind of what got everybody back into reading, regardless of what you think about the quality of her reading.
Absolutely.
She rekindled a lot of people's love for reading. So you got to give credit where credit is due, I think.
I do feel that too.
So I feel like we all have the same one.
Yeah, I think we all read It Ends With Us first.
Yeah.
Yep, definitely.
I read that back when Carson was playing baseball. That's my husband when he was playing baseball. I read it on a plane from Dallas to Harrisburg. It was like a 3-hour flight, and I devoured that book and was sobbing on an airplane, and unstably so. The people beside me were like, what?
Okay, so the thing I'm going to ask, were y'all Ryle girls in the beginning, or were y'all Atlas girls?
No, I was always a Ryle girl.
I was a Ryle girl, and the reason I thought It Ends With Us was so good is because it depicted the abuse isn't always black and white.
Yes.
Because there was times I was like, he gets totally fine, like take him back. Like it messed with my
definitely.
head.
Yes.
And I had never read a book like that just depicted it so complex, because everyone thinks, well, like if they're abusive, why would you go back? And it's because it's not always that black and white, and these abusers are manipulative, and the reader was manipulated. So I thought that was just so well done.
Yes. And I mean, say what you want about Colleen Hoover, but I feel like in that instance, like how she captured so many people, and there are some Atlas girls from the beginning, but she just captured that so good. I was not an Atlas girl.
I don't know if I was just like the, it was like the toxic in me, but even after he like did what he did, I was like, maybe I can change him.
Yeah.
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 I didn't want to let him go.
Yeah.
Preach. Yeah, I really loved him. And I mean, it didn't hurt that he was a surgeon, so I was like,
that kind of pulled me. I think that's one of the reasons that I bought the book, only because like we're in healthcare, and I read it and I was like, ooh, and so like I was like intrigued already.
I love it.
Yeah, it was good. It was really, really well written. And then I thought, because she based it on her parents' marriage, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
I thought that just added, like her when she wrote the little author's note at the end, got me.
What did you guys rate it?
I mean, I think when I read it, I
5.
rated it a 5.
I did
I
too.
think if I went back and reread it after being back into reading for a while, I don't know that I would rate it quite so high, but where I was at the time, I rated it a 5.
I think I definitely rated it a 5. Now, I think I'd have to reread it and compare it to like what I've been reading now, but I think it'd be more like a 3.5 or a 4. Mm-hmm. But I mean, she keeps you hooked, and
really
I think
does.
that's what got me back into reading for sure. It's just her stories were super. I mean, you could read the book in a day if you wanted to, and 2, like they just kept you invested.
Yeah.
All right.
What's your favorite book from hers that you've read so far?
I loved Verity. And again, some context to when I was reading it. I was with my friend, and it was just the two of us, and we were on a girls' trip to her family's cabin in Colorado. And I got to probably the creepiest part of the book when my friend had fallen asleep. So I'm sitting in the living room in the dark in this cabin reading the part where, I don't want to like give too much away, but like someone is supposed to be in bed and they're not in bed, they're on the floor like on all fours.
Oh yeah.
And I was freaking out. So that book just gave me the chills. It made me think, and I love that you don't get a black and white ending. I hate that, but I love that too. I think it added some depth, some complexity, and it was a great conversation starter. So that's my favorite by her for sure.
What was your favorite?
I think it is It Ends With Us, only because I've read quite a bit of her books and I do like them, but this one I rate them on how I feel throughout the book, and I think it made me feel the most. I did like Verity, but I mean, obviously with, not that it was a thriller, but some kind of thrillery, and sometimes you're not the biggest fans of the characters, which I wasn't the biggest fan of, like them having sex with like his wife upstairs. You know,
That
I was
was
just like,
super
I mean,
Yes.
obviously it was like super good, super entertaining, but I was just like, you know,
I
being
liked
judgmental.
that you didn't like the characters. I liked that because like none of the
Yeah.
characters were likable, and I think that was on purpose to some degree because that's what kept it interesting. Because neither of them were reliable, neither of them were really likable. So it was like, I don't know. To me, that was kind of an interesting thing because I don't think at that point I had ever read anything like that.
Yeah, I could see that for sure. I kind of have a different one.
Oh,
Okay.
let's hear it.
And I actually recently read this one. All Your Perfects was probably my
Oh,
favorite.
I really liked that book. I think it was like I think it was the second book I read by her.
Yeah, I loved Verity and I loved It Ends With Us. They were both great stories, but something about All Your Perfects, like just the infertility throughout it, and then the fact that she didn't get a baby at the end and like they became okay with it, that was a great ending to me because it wasn't a happy ending. It was a
Realistic.
ending,
Yeah.
which I'm not always down for, but I just felt like it almost...
It catches you by surprise.
Yeah, it catches you by surprise. And then people that are going through infertility, obviously they don't want to give up, but there's a point when you have to, and you have to go a different direction. And I just think that there's not enough books that talk about that. So I was super...
Or the fact that everyone who's struggling with infertility doesn't want to adopt or foster. Like,
Yeah.
it's a very personal decision. And so I like that because like some people, they want a biological child. Some people just want a child and they want to go through the adoption process or whatever the case may be. And so I like that it highlighted they just decided to be happy in their relationship with what they had. And that was really, really neat because I think it was a unique perspective on that nobody really talks about. And so couples that are going through it who might decide to make that decision, it could be really, really helpful. I do think if you are going through infertility though, make sure you're in a good headspace before you pick up this book because it could probably be really, really, really triggering if
Absolutely.
you were still processing some of that emotionally and weren't in the best headspace. It was a heavy book.
It was definitely heavy. And I also loved, I mean, they showed the lowest of low in the marriage. And I just think people are way too stuck on it's either a bad marriage or a good marriage. And they just don't think about those super low points. And I don't know, that book just really, it made me feel for sure. And so, and I think if I would have read it 3 years ago or whenever I read It Ends With Us, I wouldn't have loved it as much as I do now. Just because, you know, life experiences, people that you know, yourself. I'm going on year 4 of marriage. So I'm definitely by no means, you know, an expert at marriage by any means. But, you know, you just kind of see the different side. So that's why that was my favorite. Good job,
Yeah,
Colleen.
That was a good
Yeah.
one. Okay. Frida McFadden was the next one on our list. So I've only read one book by her, and it was a book club book. It was, oh my goodness, what was it?
The Coworker.
The Coworker.
Oh yeah, I forgot you guys.
I
The Turtle Book, if you will.
did not like that book, and I have not given her a second chance yet. And everybody tells me you've got to
Please
give her a
do.
second chance. But The Coworker was awful, and I also think she has some of the worst cover art on the planet. Like, it looks like a dime store book, and I know you shouldn't judge a book by its cover, but that mentally messes with me. I think if you wrapped her books in a different color or cover and then gave them to me, I would be more likely to read another one. But eventually we're gonna have to just do another one for book club. It's gonna be the only way to get me to read it, honestly.
Yeah. So that's the only book I've read as well, The Coworker. And I absolutely hated it. I don't even remember what I rated it. I think it was a 2. But the thing is, that is her like worst rated
Yeah.
book. I think they said that she rewrote it.
She rewrote it like 4 times. I
Yeah.
think she put in the author's
Yeah.
note.
And I was like, honey, if you didn't get it by the third time or the second time, maybe we should have just nixed that one. But The Maid is on my to be read list.
The Housemaid.
And The Housemaid, yeah. And so I'm hoping that one will bring me back.
It definitely will. That is the first book that I read by her, and it is really, really good. She's coming out with her third one, part of that series, and I'm so excited to read it. But you guys got to give her another chance, because I've read literally 6 of her books, and I just devour them. They just get me out of the slump. I just love going back to her books.
That's what everybody says. Yeah. So I mean, I need to listen. I need to read.
We're gonna have to do it. But so, what was your
favorite book? My favorite book by her is Never Lie. So on TikTok, I've watched a bunch of videos about her, but that's everybody's least favorite book from her series, and that's literally my favorite book. And it's just, so basically it's about this girl who, her and her husband are going to look at houses, and it's really cold outside, and it's a snowstorm, and they kind of they're waiting on the realtor, but the realtor never shows up, and so they kind of not break in, but kind of just stay at the house because they're snowed in and stuff. And so they stay there for a couple of days, and she kind of goes through the house, and it kind of looks haunted, and she's kind of scared a bit, and basically it was this therapist's house who died. And it's kind of creepy way, and she's read her book and stuff, and obviously it's still, all her clothes are there, so it's kind of just creepy just going into this person's house that's died. And so she finds these recording tapes of her past patients, and she kind of starts listening to them, and that's all I'll say, but it's really good.
Wow.
That sounds intense.
It sounds really good and intense, but also you must be really nosy to go through some dead lady stuff. But that's what makes it a good book, I guess.
It's really intriguing.
I am surprised that that's their least favorite.
And I honestly don't know why that's everybody's least favorite. Everybody loves The Housemaid, which I loved. But this book just really stuck out to me. I just really liked it.
I like that.
Yeah.
All right, next up, Abby Jimenez. What's y'all's first book by her?
So I read this series backwards, or I guess it's it's kind of a duology. And I read Yours Truly first. I shouldn't have. Well, it really didn't matter. But I read Yours Truly first. I loved it. It was definitely a 4 or 5 for me. But Part of Your World was my favorite.
Yeah, definitely. And I read Part of Your World first, which is the first book in the series. And honestly, that's my favorite book by her.
Yeah. It just is great. I mean, it makes you laugh.
It just makes you laugh.
It's so good.
Perfect rom-com.
So I read Just for the Summer first, which is one of her newer ones, and I loved it. I thought by the description it was just going to be this light. Have you guys read that one yet?
Not yet.
Okay.
Not yet.
So I thought it was just going to be this fun, light little read. I laughed out loud. I cried multiple times. It was phenomenal. And then, so that's my first, and I don't know what my favorite is because that's really the only one I've read, but I've started Part of Your World. Mm-hmm. So far, I'm 2 chapters in, but so far, I think it's good.
I can't wait to read Just for the Summer. That's actually going to be our next book club book. And when I read it, if it gives me all those emotions like Part of Your World did, Abby Jimenez may become my favorite rom-com.
She's definitely. I've only read 2 of her books, and she's definitely my favorite.
She's my favorite, but I was well, it just could be 2 good books. But if Just for the Summer is just as good, I'm gonna be bye, Emily Henry.
Just for the Summer is really, really good.
Just kidding, Emily Henry. If you hear this.
If you hear this.
Okay, well, we can't record a podcast about favorite authors and books without talking about Queen Mother herself, Sarah J. Maas. So, Ashley, what was the first book you read by?
That's kind of hard. Should we do her series, each series, or just
I think we got to go total.
Total?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, obviously the first book I read by her was ACOTAR. That kind of put me into her universe. And my favorite book, which is kind of random, but it's Empire of Storms.
Really?
The Throne of Glass series. I know it's really random, but I kind of really flew through it, and just like all the shocking twists and turns. And if you guys don't remember which book that is, it's the one where they get caught in the beach, like right before Kingdom of Ash. And so they go through
Yeah.
the pirates and like all that. And I don't know, it's
That one was
just,
good.
it's so good. And it's when they get married or not married, but they become mates. And I can't get
Yeah.
enough. That was my favorite, absolutely favorite. I kind of struggled a bit with Kingdom of Ash, like the beginning. I just dragged because her suffering and stuff, it just kind of hit me. So I think this one was my favorite for sure.
Let's hear it, Callie.
Okay, so my first one was ACOTAR, and that was really good because that like really got me back into reading. I started with the Colleen Hoover, and then I got into that, and then I really, really got back into reading. So I loved ACOTAR for what it is. And I want to preface what I'm about to say with Throne of Glass is my favorite series, but I have a hot take here. I think Silver Flames might be my favorite book.
Wow.
Because you're a Nesta girl.
I am.
Yeah.
But I do think Throne of Glass overall is still my favorite series. Like, if I had to pick one, I think it's the better series. And I love some of the things, but I recently reread Silver Flames, and I really, really like it. I love Nesta's character development, and everybody hates Nesta. Everybody loves to hate Nesta, but I don't know. I think she's very misunderstood, and I think the complexity in her character development make that book very, very interesting, in my opinion.
Okay.
And all the Valkyrie training and all of that. It's just, I think it's fun.
Don't get me wrong. I think Nesta is 10 times more interesting than Vera. Mm-hmm. Okay. But she's just no Aelin.
No, she's not.
You
No,
know?
definitely
Like, she's
not.
just not Aelin.
Nobody beats her.
And so I read ACOTAR first. And I loved it. Loved the whole series. It just holds a special place in my heart. Loved it. But Kingdom of Ash was my favorite book. Mm-hmm. And it was because the whole book, I just felt so much.
Yeah.
And then when I was done, I was just in a trance almost because I just didn't even know what to do with myself. Manon, is that how we're
Manon,
saying her name?
yes.
And the 13. If you know,
That
you know.
part-
I think Kingdom of Ash just like ripped my heart out of my chest, which is why I couldn't let it be my favorite.
Me too. That's how I feel.
And I kind of like it when books rip my heart out of my
She's
chest.
like, I like the pain.
Yeah, I'm in it for the pain. If it's going to be the last book, I want it to be huge. I mean, just think about the last Harry Potter book. I mean,
Yeah.
Fred dies, you know?
Oh, spoiler alert.
Sorry.
Man.
I mean, hopefully y'all have read Harry Potter by now. But I mean, that moment when things are happening, people are dying, but you triumph in the end. Just
Okay, so like this isn't part of our planned. This is not part of your planned recording. What Harry Potter death hit you the hardest?
Sirius Black. Did you read Harry Potter?
Yes. I'm trying to think about
Oh, okay.
with a couple of them.
I was like, I hope so, because I don't know if we could be friends if you.
Oh my god.
Just kidding.
I think it was Fred. I liked Fred.
It was Dobby for me.
Oh,
I cry
that one
every
too.
time.
Yeah.
I
That's like
cry-
when your dog dies.
Ye-
Maybe I shouldn't.
Yeah, because he was
Relate
kind of like
Dobby
a
to a
person,
dog.
but like,
Yeah.
I mean,
I don't know, just someone so like fiercely loyal.
and the innocence.
And yes,
so
the
Dobby and
innocence.
Hedwig, that was like, which I think she did that because it was like the death of innocence was the whole point of that book. But
Yeah.
those two got me probably the worst.
I think Sirius got me so much because that was like I mean, obviously Harry had family with Ron and Hermione, but as
was
far
just
as
different.
Harry's family, like his last piece of family, just got me.
That one got me because I hadn't, like at that point, I hadn't seen, like when I read that book, I don't think anything else had come out. So I didn't know what was going to happen. So when Sirius is talking about him going to live with him, I was like, this is going to be so cool. Like Harry's going to get to finally leave the Dursleys and it's going to be awesome. And so I felt
Psych.
some of that hope that Harry felt. I was like, this is so exciting. And then he died and I was like,
Hope gone.
rough.
Anyways, so sorry for that little
Yeah, sorry for that segue.
that segue, but I feel like it needed to be talked
It
about.
had to.
I did bring it up.
Emily Henry.
I do love Emily Henry. My first was Happy Place.
Same.
My favorite, Book Lovers. Hands down.
Also same.
My first was Book Lovers, and my favorite's Book Lovers. I just finished reading Happy Place, but I don't know if we should talk about it.
Happy Place was good. It was a
Negativity.
good little summer read.
I liked Happy Place. I hated the ending. I hated the ending. I don't know if we should talk about the ending.
I thought it was predictable.
Really?
I don't know. I feel like I kind of felt it coming, but I didn't want it to come, so I was kind of just neglecting it. I was like, I don't want it to come.
Relationship wise, I knew the ending.
Okay.
Yeah.
But
That's what I was talking about.
Yeah.
professional life wise, that threw me.
Okay.
Threw me.
Maybe we need to do an episode on that
Maybe
one.
we should, yeah.
Yeah.
All right. But
That'd
yeah.
be a good like mid-summer release.
Book Lovers though, the ending just was,
It was
everything
perfect.
for me.
And I think it was like one of the first books that I actually read. It's like, wow, like it didn't happen exactly how I thought it would, but like him not staying in that little town and still coming out to New York and kind of meeting her, I thought that was just perfect.
Good.
Yeah, Book Lovers was really good.
I love a strong female though.
I do.
Yes.
Love a strong, and I love a supportive guy. So
Strong guy.
yeah, strong supportive guy, strong female. I love it. Lucy's score. All right.
You want me to go first? So the first book that I read was Things We Never Got Over, and my favorite is Things We Left Behind, which is the third book.
Same.
Same. Mainly because I tolerated Things We Never Got Over. And I put up with Things We Hide from the Light. And I thoroughly enjoyed Things We Left Behind. I pretty much I read those because I had nothing else to do and they were easy reads. Things We Left Behind was like guilty pleasure though. It was like, is this well written? No. Do I love Lucian Rollins?
Yes.
Yes.
With my whole heart.
With my whole heart.
With my whole heart. Bad boy in a suit.
Tall, dark, handsome.
I mean, his job is like a little
rich.
mysterious. He makes tons of
Yeah.
money.
kind of
like-
illegal.
The librarian.
Oh yeah.
It was just perfect.
It was just
I loved it.
wonderful.
I loved every moment of it.
There was like some made up enemies to lovers that wasn't really, I feel like, that viable, but I was leaning into it. I was like, well, let it go. I will forgive a lot for a tall, dark, and handsome bad boy male lead.
Okay, but did he give Azrael vibes?
Yes.
I think that's one of the reasons
Okay.
I loved him so much, because I was like, this is Az. Like,
Okay, yeah,
really
he
is.
did. Now that you say that, I didn't not when I was reading it,
Mm-hmm.
but yes.
Because he doesn't really give much information. Super
He's kinda,
quiet.
yeah, and he thinks that he doesn't deserve, everything. Like, it's like,
Wow.
I was never an Azrael girl
Wow.
until the bonus chapter. Have you guys read the
I
bonus
didn't read the
chapter?
bonus
I didn't
chapter.
You finally get a little bit of his point of view, and because he's just like quiet, and I'm like, okay, I'm bored. But when we got his point of view, I was like, oh, okay. So read the bonus chapter. I mean, if you're already an Azrael girl,
Yeah.
you don't have to read it. You'll still be one. But once I got that, I was like, oh, okay. Okay.
I won't go into it, but I thought I really loved the first one. I mean,
Knox.
don't get me wrong. The third was my favorite. I thought Knox was great until
too.
someone ruined it for me.
Me. It was me.
Someone.
Why don't you like him?
Because he is a person Beth and I know.
Oh.
That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah.
They give the same vibes. And I was like, anything spicy, I was like, next. Because they're the same person.
Yeah. Small little bunny trail here. If you want to read some more Lucy Score, just be prepared that sometimes there's no plot, if you know what I mean.
Is there ever a plot? In
There's
any of
more
them?
plot in Knock 'em Out than there is in some. And some are straight spice.
I haven't read anything else by
haven't
her.
read.
I don't know that I ever will. I think I'm probably done with her.
Really? See,
Yeah.
she's kind of like my hockey romance, which I will not go into. Lucy Score is a little bit of my guilty pleasure because it doesn't have to be good. Sometimes it just has to be there, you know? But I do like plot.
So she's like the junk food when your pantry's empty, right? Like when you come home and you're really hungry and there's not like anything good in your pantry, so you put like chocolate chips on a graham cracker. It's like it's just a snack that's there.
She's for the ingredients kids.
Yeah, she's the ingredients only.
I read Knock 'Em Out, and then I was like, you know what? I like her. So then I read Forever Never. Let me tell you. It's set in Michigan, where my husband is from. And Mackinac Island always has held a huge place in my heart. Beautiful place. You should go. So I was like, oh, I'm down. I'm reading this. Police officer and, small town girl moves to Chicago. But let me tell you, that's about all you get. And the rest is angry and spicy. And then it ends with like a shootout, which is random. And then you're done. And you're like, oh, that was a bit much.
Why do all her books have like some criminal in them?
Yeah, she's like
randomly though.
Like not a good criminal
Yeah.
either. Like not a well written.
I think that
criminal.
plot in the whole series was just kind of like I could have
Dumb.
gone without it. Like it just added to it. It was kind of unnecessary and weird.
And she's definitely, when you read the book, like 2 chapters in, you know what the ending's going to be. But yeah, sometimes you just need a little easy read.
Yeah.
It's like a palate cleanse, if you will.
Another hot take. I'm not interested in the uniform. Police officer, firefighter, military. I'm not interested.
I'm not either.
I don't need that in my fiction.
Yeah, me neither, actually. The more you think about it.
That's why I think I didn't like what's his name?
Nash. I did
Mm-hmm.
like Lena.
I felt conflicted with her.
See, I liked Nash in the first book.
But in the second one he was just so whiny.
Yeah, he was whiny and boring to me.
Yeah.
Personally. But yeah, and I'm a nurse, so apparently nurses like uniforms, and
I don't.
I don't like it. Sorry, moving
Unless
on.
it's like a athlete uniform. That's different. I just don't need a first responder.
Married to a professional baseball player.
I just don't need first responder.
All right, Jenny Han. Jenny Han. Love you, Jenny Han.
Okay, so the first book I read was The Summer I Turned Pretty, and the last one, or my favorite, is We'll Always Have Summer, which is the last one.
That's mine.
I have only read The Summer I Turned Pretty.
You didn't read the
You
other
didn't
two?
read the whole book or the whole series?
Because I started it, really, it was past summer, and I'm like a theme girly. Like, I don't want to read about Christmas in the summer. I don't want to read about summer in the fall. I want to read like fall themed in the fall. So this summer I'm gonna return. I'm gonna circle back.
Well, this is a good chance to ask. Are you a Jeremiah or Conrad girly?
Oh, Jeremiah. All
good.
the way.
Are you Conrad?
I am a Conrad
What?
girly.
That's gross.
How can you like the last book and not be a Conrad girly?
Because I never liked him from the beginning.
You said that's gross.
Yes. I stand by it.
No. Conrad is
I think she ruined
misunderstood.
Jeremiah. Like, she herself as an author ruined Jeremiah in the book.
No.
They should have been in game, period.
They're not in game.
Oh.
We're so sorry.
But you don't know why. You don't know why. So you gotta read it.
You have to read it. No.
So you can watch the series.
Look.
I've already watched the series.
Oh.
Then you know how it goes.
Kind of.
It doesn't end
Well, you
in the
haven't-
series
No,
yet.
but-
Yeah, you have a...
Yeah.
Anyways, Conrad is the one. He's misunderstood. His mom died. He did some things he's not proud of.
Jeremiah's mom died too.
They have the same mom.
Let me just tell you. Jeremiah is a party boy, and he's a party boy till the end.
And he's pretty.
But that's not all he's about.
Yes, it is. He has no depth.
Yes, he does.
No, not enough. Cabo.
That is her. Okay, that is her mistake. That is the author's mistake.
No,
she
it's
wrote
Jer-
that in there. I will die
We're
on that hill.
gonna have to agree to disagree because Conrad is superior. You know what? Why don't y'all tell us Who's
Yeah,
better,
right.
Tell us in the
Jeremiah
comments.
or Conrad?
Tell us who's right.
Yeah.
I feel strongly about
But can we
this.
talk about the series and why they picked a really, like, I don't want to be rude, but, like, Jeremiah is so hot and Conrad's there.
Jeremiah is adorable. I had to Google his age because, you know, they're like,
He's, like,
supposed to be in
yeah.
high school. I was like, am I a predator? Turns out the actor is not in high school. He's still too
Perfect.
young for me, but I felt uncomfortable.
Yeah, the series, I was really happy. Well,
More-
actually, no, I wasn't happy with either one. And let me tell you why. Jeremiah was so adorable. I did love him. I loved his eyes, loved his curly hair. That was really good. But in the books, she depicts them as like really big, like football player boys. And that's just kind of not who came across on the screen.
He's kind of scrawny.
yeah.
In season 2, though, Jeremiah in season 2 is much
Yeah.
Stronger.
That's
yeah,
true.
and so let me preface my comment. Season 2 Jeremiah was yummy. Season 1 Jeremiah was a cutie.
Yeah.
Yeah, he looked
And,
like a little
and then in
kid.
season 2 I was like, oh,
Who is this?
yeah.
Yeah, I just wish, just because of who I pictured in the books, I pictured them like much bigger, like taller, and just like, I don't know, football players. But yeah, my Conrad is not the Conrad that was casted, unfortunately.
It's fair.
Unfortunately. But I'm still a Conrad girly, and if you're season 3 Conrad girlies, this is your season. Just so you know.
Nice. What about Taylor Jenkins Reid?
I honestly don't have a hot take on her.
I don't either. I've only ever read Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, and it was good. I have no complaints. I was a little bit shocked by the ending of that
Definitely.
one. The book was not what I thought it was going to be, and I don't want to spoil it if you haven't read it. If you haven't read it, I do recommend it. It was not what I thought it was going to be. So I like being surprised, for sure.
My first book by her was The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, and I've read a couple more from her, and they're really good, but I think that was my favorite, just because everything was, like, so shocking.
Well, I haven't read anything from her. So
You haven't read The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo?
I have not.
Oh, that's why you were looking at me weird when I was talking about the ending. I was like trying to find some
No, I was looking at you weird because my dryer just played a whole like
whole
sauna,
background music.
and I think it does that in
Samsung's about to
everyone.
like cancel our podcast for copyright.
So sorry. So I was like, that's awkward. No, I actually haven't read any of her books. I want to, and I have 2 on my shelf on my to be read. But yeah, I haven't read any of them.
You're missing out.
I
You gotta
know.
give it a try.
I'll work on it.
I've heard Daisy Jones and the Six is good. And then she has another one that I want to read, Malibu Rising and One True Loves.
One True Loves, I do want to read
haven't
it
read that one
before
yet,
I
but-
watch the movie.
Same.
I feel like that's important.
I'm big on that.
Yeah.
I'm watching the book, yeah.
Obviously not with The Summer I Turned Pretty, but with everything else.
I'll give you that
In
one.
my defense, I honestly didn't know The Summer I Turned Pretty was a book until after I'd watched.
Which is so weird because weren't you a reader in high school?
They were really big when I was
Wow.
in high school.
I'm sorry for you that you didn't read it in high
Yeah,
school.
I didn't.
You would have been a Conrad girly.
I don't think
I'm
so.
so done. It's hilarious.
I don't think anybody's gonna be like, Conrad.
No, one of my really good friends is like ride or die with Conrad, and
you.
she will not change her mind. So, okay, I have a theory that if you're a Conrad girl, you're also a Stefan girl,
What?
like with Vampire Diaries. And if you're a Jeremiah girl, you're a Damon girl. So, because like my friend, she's a Stefan girl through and through. Like she ride or dies with Stefan, and I'm a Damon girl all the way through. So
I would just want to point out that Damon treats Elena badly. I'm a Damon girly, but Elena and Damon treat each other badly. Conrad and Belly treat each other badly. If you're a Damon girl, you should be a Conrad girl. But I digress.
Anyway.
I digress.
anyway,
Jessa Hastings. She is very new to me. I didn't know. She's got to have other books, right?
I think, honestly, I looked her up because I love her. And I think she has one other book that I was planning on reading, but I'll look it up.
Yeah, so she's super new to me. I started reading the Magnolia Park series 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago.
No, it has to. It's been like a month.
Has it?
Yeah.
Wait,
Okay.
you just started this series?
Yeah. I mean,
It's
I'm done.
been like a month because I
I
read the whole
thought
series
you
in
had
March.
read, like, I thought you read this a while ago, the way you talked about it.
I devoured them. So obviously Magnolia Parks was my first book from her. Loved it. Gossip Girl vibes. My favorite book was the Daisy is Hades, right?
It's Hate.
Hates the
Hates.
second one.
No.
The Great Undoing.
The Great Undoing.
That's my favorite too.
I don't think you've met Julian yet, have you?
Yes, I'm reading Daisy Hates right now. I'm halfway through. I'm struggling. So
Really?
Magnolia Parks, and we'll talk about this later, obviously. I was like living off of the drama for 60% of the book, and then at like that 40% mark, I was done. I was like, I am over you. I am over your drama. And now with Daisy and Christian, it's the same thing. And I'm just like, I'm over you little like rich kids drama. Like, get it together.
This breaks my heart, Callie.
Sorry.
But
That's
I will
what people
say,
say though.
if you can get through Daisy Hates and go to the third book, then it's smooth sailing from there.
Okay.
I mean,
I'm
in
gonna
my
I think
power
so
through.
too. I think it gets better because the fifth one, obviously, it was like
The novelty of Magnolia Parks carried me through. But now I'm like, I've been here, I've done this. This back and forth, this like we're together, we're not together. I'm done. I'm over it.
Yeah.
That's crazy that you think that because I felt like Daisy was just like a lot more interesting because her brother and all the criminal and Christian, which I loved Christian over BJ, so I was just obsessed.
If I have to hear Christian whine about Magnolia one more time and
That
like
part is a bit annoying.
If
Yeah.
a man spoke to me the way these men speak to these women, I don't like it's nothing just to like call names and just speak so hatefully. I want to be like, girl, grow some self-respect and walk away. Like, you're a millionaire too. Go find a different
Yeah.
one.
Yeah.
I don't care that he's big and cute. Everybody in this book is big and cute. Like, go any, mini, miny, mo, close your eyes and pick one that doesn't call you an explicit name. Like,
or never mind. We'll get into this later.
We'll get into it. So,
But yeah, I have strong feelings about the boys in Magnolia Parks. But yeah, my favorite was The Great Undoing for sure. And that's all to do with one person. Julian Hates.
Julian was so much more fun for me in Magnolia Parks when he was mysterious and interesting. In Daisy Hates, I'm bored with him.
Well, I will
So,
say
Are you still at the beginning though?
I'm about halfway through.
I was not in love with Julian until The Great Undoing.
Okay.
No. It was
I
the
was
third
already
book.
obsessed.
The third book, I was obsessed with him. But The Great Undoing, I really
He,
sealed my...
I don't know. You take the mystery away from me. You take the fun away. Like, it's not a challenge anymore. I'm getting to know him. I now know why he is the way he is, and I don't care.
Wow.
I know.
Strong
I probably should go to
feelings.
therapy.
I think we should go to therapy because we love the toxic men.
I love a toxic man. I love him.
it.
All right. Well, that was fun.
Yeah.
That was fun.
Well, thank you guys for listening.
I'm thinking about Conrad. I'm sorry.
Oh my goodness.
Thanks for listening. We are going to have a Magnolia Parks deep dive for our next one. And then after that, we're going to talk about Just for the Summer.
All right.
Super exciting.
See y'all next time.
Bye.
Bye.